Shalom again, everybody. Ariel Tzadok here from the KosherTorah School, found online at www.KosherTorah.com, bringing to you today's daily lesson in the Sefer Yetzirah. Today is lesson number 63, Saga, and of course, dedicated to the health, safety, well-being, and prosperity of everybody around the world today, facing all kinds of interesting times, obstacles, and remember, hidden opportunities. Look for them, watch for them, you will discover them. With that being said, we are now in the fourth chapter in the Sefer Yetzirah. I'm actually covering both, pretty much like, the first Mishnah was just pretty much a statement about the letters and their sounds. We already did that. And now we're going to go into something a wee bit different. Rebbe Haim, the commentary that we are following right now, he makes mention of this, and in the sheet that I made for yesterday's class, you'll see here that I have what we need to talk about today, referenced, not discussed, but referenced, and I am now going to bring you into a wee bit of the Prophetic Kabbalah of the Abulafian system. Now, for those of you who are of the, purist schools, you say, where does Abulafian fit into Rabbi Chaim Vital? Well, for those of you who do not know, Rabbi Chaim Vital, in his Sha'arei Kiddusha, the Gates of Holiness, it was a 4-part book that he wrote about how to do Ascent. And the fourth section, which always dealt with the details of the meditative process, he quoted verbatim right out of Avraham Abulafian in detail. And I think I'm one of the few, if maybe not the only one out there, who's actually recorded all of this material, and I have it available for you as a course, Sha'arei Kiddusha, the Gates of Holiness, section 4. What do I call it? The practical exercises in Torah meditation, I think. It's on my course page. You'll go check it out there. I'll put a link to it here in the text stuff here. And in this, Abulafian brings down a teaching in his Sefer Cheshek, a very, very important thing. And I've taught this over and over again, literally for years and years. In psychology, they will call this active imagination. Carl Jung in psychology refers to this as archetypes of the collective unconscious. Now, all of this is modern talk for old prophetic techniques of visualization. Many of you who meditate might be familiar with practices in Eastern Oriental traditions where the focus is on sound. And they will focus on a mantra as the like, where it's a repetition of sound. Yeah, we have that too, what we call Shamot Kodeshim, or holy names. However, we also have a very profound tradition, which they have too, but we focus on it more, and that is the visualization. You will find this is very Aboriginal. It's actually very shamanistic. Native Americans of North, South, Central American type use this all the time. I'm not an expert, but from what I understand of the shamanistic traditions and those who will use some form of mind-expanding chemical, ayahuasca and the like, they seek the intervention of or interaction with a spirit guide. Okay? This is what, again, in psychology, we call an archetype of the collective unconscious, in which, through the power of mind, you're projecting an image. Remember what an image is. It's the creation of the letters. The letters, remember the Otiot Yesod, because they become the foundation of your image, include or contain within it what we call these Sefirotic energies. But you don't just channel a Sephira. You don't just channel Chokhmah or Bina. Why? How do you get to Chokhmah? How do you think Chokhmah gets to you? How do you get to Chesed? How do you think Chesed gets to you? How do you get to Netzach? How do you think Netzach gets to you? Right? That's the right column of the Sefirot. Well, this is a procedure. Just like you have laws of nature which guide the natural world, which teaches us science, how things go up and come down. Well, spiritual matters are as rigid. Yeah, that's a right word. Rigid in their, end quote, spiritual law, as we are subject to the rigidity of natural law. People don't like that rigid definition, but hey, I didn't create the universe, so don't blame me. If you don't like the way God does something, may I make a suggestion? Go up to heaven, point the finger in God's face, and say, I don't like the way you're running the universe. Get off that throne. I'm going to take over for you. Supposedly someone's tried to do that before. Got bounced. So yeah, let's put all this fantasy aside and get real. What that reality is a feeling of, experience of, a sensing of the real flow of energy. You can't learn this from a book. Just the other day, I had one of the Talmidot send me a little text, say, hey, what book is going to teach me about this? And I said, the book inside you. Forget the book outside. Remember the old midrash, the old teaching. It states like this, that the Torah was given to us written black fire on white fire. White fire, black fire. Well, we know black fire is a reference to the black ink, right, of the letters that are written on the page. But the page itself is alive. The shape and form of the white spaces around it supposedly, midrashically, symbolically, form a completely different alphabet. Not of rigidity, but of fluidity. And fluidity and rigidity have to form together. That white fire is as alive as is the black fire. Abulafian, in his reference, refers to this as the Torah of blood and ink, in which the blood is actually the black, and the ink, isn't that supposed to be the black? That's the secret of the white. That's rather confusing, but remember imagery. Remember symbolism. Sierra is here trying to sniff the camera. I love my dogs. But anyway, let's get back to this. Okay, look here at the Sefirot. You see the columns. Chaim Vital, following older traditions, always corresponds the letters with the paths with the patriarchs, the 7 fathers. They're called the 7 shepherds. It's an old tradition. Now, we follow the tradition as brought down from the Zoharic tradition. That's where this comes from. And the 7 shepherds, patriarchs, are, of course, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Aaron, Joseph, and David. Now, these, many of you are of the Jewish tradition might be familiar with as the 7 ushpizin, or guests who come to the Sukkot sukkah during Sukkot. First night Abraham, second night Isaac, etc., and so on. So each one has its own correspondence with the Sephira. Abraham is Chesed, Isaac is Gevurah, Yaakov is Tiferet, etc. But when we look now at the specifics here along the path, here, let me show you if I can. Can you see it? Yeah, you can see it like that. Oh, you know what? Freeze it. Print it out. That's why I have the thing here. Abraham, we say, is in Chesed, but Abraham is really from Chokhmah to Chesed. Isaac, we say, is in Gevurah, but he's really from, Bina to Gevurah. Yaakov is supposedly in Tiferet, but he's really from Keter to Tiferet. And again, Moses is in Netzach, but he's from Hesed to Netzach. I'll show you that in just a second here. Aharon in Hod, but from Gevurah to Hod. Yosef, Yesod, but really Tiferet to Yesod. David, Malchut, really Yesod to Malchut. So, rather than putting the patriarchs, if I can do that here, boom, 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 they're not really here in a Sephira. They're in the paths between them. So you go from one path to the second path this path to that path, this path to that one to that one. Now, why is this important? Well, a sephira is a stationary energy. But remember we said all sephirot have all sephirot within them? So if you want to understand the sephirot, if you want to experience this balima in the form that we speak about as letters, and remember what letters are. Letters become the materialization wherein which the sephirot can become manifest. Manifest where? In space, time, and consciousness. Space, time, consciousness. We're going to get into all that as we proceed into this chapter. But here is how you can do it. When you want to experience the letter Bet, which is the path between Chokhmah and Hesed, what do? I contemplate the image and the archetype of the patriarch Abraham. The attribute or character of Bet is said to be wisdom. But as we learn from Mishnah Gimel, there's what we call its timurah, or its inverse opposite. Remember we discussed this in the previous class? Energies come down, they take their inverse opposite form here, and they are materialized in embryonic form. So, what is the most embryonic form of wisdom? Obviously, foolishness. Foolishness is the opposite of wisdom. And we rise up out of foolishness into wisdom. How do I do that? Okay, I want to get wise. Now, I know people say, okay, if you want to get wise, read books. You're going to read and read and read and read, and you're going to memorize a whole bunch of facts and information. But you're not going to be wise. You want to know who's wise? What we call it today, street smarts. Yeah, the people out there who maybe have never gone to school, all right, who have lived life and experienced things, that is wisdom. People who know and understand the ways of the world, that is wisdom. And they will contemplate and see and experience. Now, what is their level of wisdom? It all depends on the level of their experience. Who am I to say? But here is the technique. If you want to experience what real wisdom is, and who decides and defines what wisdom is? You do. You experience it for yourself. You can't learn the definition of wisdom from a book. You need to have the experience of wisdom in life. So therefore, in order to grasp wisdom, now, what do? You're going to visualize the image of a spirit guide. The visualization of this spirit guide in our tradition is Abraham, right? And we call upon the patriarch Abraham. Do it through closed eyes, visualize an individual there, and you talk to him. Father Abraham, teach me. Teach me about wealth and poverty, or seed and barren, or life and death. And Abraham will say, no, I'm here to teach you about wisdom. That's my archetype. And Abraham, remember, he says, corresponds to chesed. So therefore, if you want to experience wisdom, remember we said that the laws are very rigid, but that in the rigidity, or in the law, there's also the fluidity. Remember the hadar, right, left, center, balance, okay? So, Abraham, as a spirit guide, an archetype, is going to take you on a journey in your mind. So you have to allow your imagination to flow. And in that imagination, you have to be able and willing to see things, go places in your mind, and learn lessons. Where is it going to take you? Probably it's not going to take you on vacation to Hawaii. I doubt it. However, it might take you on a visualization, an inner imaginary journey for wisdom, right? The vision quest. Very, very common psychological experience, meditative experience This is, again, what is experienced in the shamanistic tradition, the Aborigine tradition, where in which, again, whether it's through the ayahuasca or the peyote, they meet their spirit guide, takes them along their journey. For us, that's Avraham Avinu. We don't need ayahuasca or the peyote. That's not our tradition. It doesn't connect us. It's not like the right phone number being dialed. If you go in those directions along that path, you'll end up in the wrong place. So that is not our way. But our way calls upon Abraham. In this case, and Abraham is going to modulate us along the path between Hesed and Chochmah. It's going to be through the power of the letter Bet. Bet is a symbol. Yes, Bet is also a sound. And therefore, there are those who will use the permutations of Bet, Ba, Be, Bi, Bo, Boo, as some type of mantra. If you want to focus on the name of Avraham, you could align the letters Ba, Be, Bi, Bo, Boo with the letters of Abraham. All right? Bet with Aleph, Bet with Bet, Bet with Resh, Bet with Hey, Bet with Ben, etc. That's a way of doing it. It's a chant. It's a mantra. It's meant to help expand the mind to get you connected to the spirit guide of Abraham, who will guide you along the path of wisdom. Remember where your path is going to begin. In foolishness, because that's the timurah, the opposite. And you have to rise above until you can take it and turn it around. That is the order and the nature of things. Please understand this as you practice the practice. Now, we have a few minutes left, so let's just give another example now from the opposite side. All right, Gevurah, the letter Gimel. Gimel corresponds to the path between Bina and Gevurah. And Bina and the Gevurah refers to wealth and poverty. It also corresponds to the spirit guide of Isaac. So, for those who seek financial direction, no, I'm not talking about praying for a money tree to grow out in your backyard. Let's be realistic now. The Sefer Yetzirah is going to create the energetic realities which are going to materialize in this physical world. So, if you are looking for wealth, business, what you need more than just money falling down from heaven is the wisdom, right column, how to apply it to the left column of business sense. You will therefore call upon Isaac. And Isaac, of course, has his father Abraham behind him. And you will contemplate the rigidity, the severity of the business world. And you will seek intuitive insight from Bina, which comes from the rigidity of Gevurah going up the path. And as you are doing this, Isaac will guide you and give you insight or wisdom, the right column of the left side, how to apply it in business. And once you acquire the wisdom on the right and the business model on the left, you got to bring it down. So we start from foolishness and poverty. We rise to the level of wisdom and wealth. But you can't leave wisdom and wealth up there. It's got to come down to this world. Well, what good is your wisdom and your wealth if it's up in heaven when you need to bring it down to earth? This is the secret of what we call Or Yashar, the light that comes down to us, and Or Chozeh, the light which we bring back up to heaven. We ascend to grab what's up there for the sake of bringing it down here. What good is wisdom if you don't apply it in the real world? What good is wealth if you don't apply it here in the real world? We got to figure out how to get it, and then we bring it down. That is the secret of how we use the patriarchs as spirit guides along these paths to make these paths work. Now, We're going to even get into deeper how and when and where and why to do this and what it's going to correspond, how we pick up signs, etc., and so on as we proceed through the chapter. And we'll go through the individual letters and we'll expand on this as we do. But anyway, I'll put a link to the Shari Kedusha course, like I said, and a link to this thing. And God be willing, we'll pick this up in our next class. And I'll see you there. Shalom.